was 2017, a year I'll never forget, because I was extremely sad. I would want to cry everywhere, whether it's the showers, at the dinner table. I would drive myself to the forest just to cry. Actually, it was a park, but it really felt like a forest. And I didn't know why I was so sad and unhappy. Eventually, I find myself at the self-help section in Indigo bookstore. And the recurring question in all these books was, what do you want? Make a list of all the things that you want, make a plan, and go for it. So simple, right? So I go home and I make a bunch of lists of all the things that I want, and then I look at this list and I'm like, it looks like a bunch of words. I don't feel anything when I read this list. And why do I want these things? It felt like someone told me to write these things, that's what I should want. And so again, the question is, what do I want? So I continued searching and everything felt so meaningless. So I figured, okay, what if I change my environment? Maybe I'll get inspired. Little did I know that the answer lied 13,000 kilometers on the other side of the world, my birthplace, Vietnam. Growing up, my parents brought me back to Vietnam twice. And I remember feeling so shocked at how my life in Canada was so different from the lives of the people in Vietnam. I realized that I was actually very lucky to grow up in a developed country with security, education, and healthcare. And so I figured, okay, I'm gonna go back to Vietnam and reconnect with my roots, and I do want to make it meaningful, so I'm gonna take all the privileges that I have, everything that I have experienced here in Canada, and find a way to give back to my motherland some way, somehow. So I quit my corporate job. I ended a 5-year relationship that wasn't going anywhere, and packed my bags and head back to Vietnam. The plan was to go for 6 months, and it ended up being 4 years. I mean, $15 full body massages. During my time there, I was one of the co-founder of a consulting firm, and we did really well. We grew from 4 people to 50 people under 2 years, and at this point we felt like family. Unfortunately, I noticed that we were spending more and more time fixing problems than actually servicing or producing. And then I realized we were running a company of 50 people as if we were 10 or 20 people, and I did not work anymore. And we needed structural change. So I sat down, wrote a plan, and I look at my plan and I'm excited because I know that we're going to do great things with this. But at the same time, I was very nervous because if it didn't work out, the last 2 years that we worked so hard for would go to complete waste. So I went to my team and I told them the plan, and I was met with so much resistance. People threatened to leave. My heart felt so heavy because we're here because of the people. But I felt like if we just took this risk, that we could do so much more and we could help so many more people. And it really reminded me of one of the stories that my dad would tell me about our journey from Vietnam to Canada as refugees. It was 10 years after the Communist Party won from the Civil War. And Vietnam was one of the poorest countries in the world. People were starving, and everyone was struggling every day in poverty. And it was definitely not a place for someone like my dad, who is an entrepreneur. He was always looking for ways to fix things and offer services and make money, and he loved that. And every time the business will start kick off and doing really well, the authorities will come by and just take everything and left him with barely enough to survive. Eventually he thought, I gotta get out of here. So he embarked on a plan to flee Vietnam. A few years later, it was finally time to go. He had everything that was needed to get away. And he told me one of the hardest things to do or to decide is who are you going to take with you. He told me you had to be very careful with who you talk to, because if the authorities find out, they will either put you in re-education camp, and basically that's slavery, or shoot you in your tracks. And you couldn't tell your family because they would be so scared for your life that they will do anything possible to stop you. The first person he spoke to was my mom. And when he told my mom, she responded with, "What are you talking about? Our baby is only a few months old." And all the stories that we hear about people leaving, we don't hear about where they're at. Like, we don't even know if they're alive. And we're okay here. We have our family, we have a place to stay, we have enough food. We don't need more. The other person my dad thought of asking was his youngest brother, who was in his mid-20s, old enough to take care of himself, but young enough to not be tied down with anything. So he set up a meeting with his brother, went to see him, and find out that his brother was so excited about proposing to the love of his life. So that evening, my dad did not ask his brother to come. And my dad told me that, yes, our life is here in Vietnam, our family is here, but if he did not chase his dream, he felt like he was denying a huge part of who he was. So he went back to my mom and he said, "Listen, I don't expect you to drop everything, give up everything to follow me. But I have to go. So either you stay here, I'm gonna go to America, I'm gonna set up, and when we're ready, I'm gonna come back to get you and the baby. Or you come with me, and I don't know how we're gonna make it, it's not gonna be easy, but we'll do whatever we can, and we're gonna make out of it, and we're gonna create a very rich future for our family." The spring of 1986, my dad, my mom, and 6-month-old me left in the middle of the night to our boat, and we fled Vietnam, and the rest is history. So this story brought me back to where I was in Vietnam, and the question was, why am I here? Why did I leave Canada in the first place? I was seeking a life of purpose and meaning, and I felt so on purpose with the mission I was on. So I went back to my team and I told them, we're going ahead with the plan. We'll do our best. A quarter of the team left, and 1 year later, we were acquired by an international company. So every time I get to this crossroads where I don't know what to do, and I don't know how to make a decision, I just remember this story that we just have to follow our hearts, which is going to guide us towards the destination. And in the midst of it all, you are going to be on a journey of a lifetime to discover who you truly are and what you're meant to do. Thank you.